Good day, viewers. Welcome once again to our show, Let's Get Legal. Today we're going to be talking about a very, very interesting topic in these hard and pressing times of the global pandemic, retrenchment. So today I'm joined by Miss Sharon, who's going to be taking us through what is retrenchment and the processes that are taken through the process of retrenchment. Thank you so much for joining us, Sharon.
Thank you for having me on your show, Tinashe.
You're welcome. All right, so Sharon, let's say someone is watching.
Yes.
They've gone through the process of retrenchment and they don't know what retrenchment is. What would you define retrenchment as?
Okay. So retrenchment is the process whereby an employer has to let go of his or her employees. And the reasoning behind this is because a business may not be doing well.
Okay.
A perfect example is the times that we're living in now.
Yeah.
With the global pandemic, we've seen so many businesses shut down due to the fact that there was no flow of cash due
Yeah.
to the lockdown.
True.
So as a result, if an employer cannot pay an employee, it means that there's no work to do.
Yeah.
So in the end, the employer has to let go of his employee. And in South Africa, retrenchment is governed by Section 189 of the Labor Relations Act. And in terms of this section, we have Section 189, which governs retrenchment between 1 or 50 employees.
1 or 50.
Yes.
Okay.
And with Section 189A, it governs retrenchment procedures between 50 or more employees.
All right.
So people should be careful to know that distinction before they refer their matter to the CCMA.
Okay. Well, okay, that was clearly defined. But the next question now becomes, what are the processes or the procedures that should be undertaken when undergoing a retrenchment process?
A retrenchment process has to be fair. So procedure
It has to be fair.
Yes.
Okay.
So procedure is very important when it comes to this process. So to have a fair procedure, one, meaning referring to the employer,
Yeah.
he or she has to make sure that he notifies the employees.
Okay.
So that is sending a letter that we're contemplating retrenchment. And in sending that letter, consultations have to be had with the employees. And when I say consultations, I mean meaningful engagement. It's not an employee coming to sit in with an employer stating that retrenchment is happening, etc. It's a process whereby an employer has to tell the employee, okay, these are all the options that we've considered, so that we don't have to retrench, because retrenchment is the last resort.
So they have to exhaust all the options.
Yes.
Okay.
So by exhaustion, I mean things like short time, making people go on leave,
All right.
maybe reducing working hours so that, you don't have to pay
Yeah.
as much
Yeah.
for the employer's
Yeah.
side.
Okay. No, I understand.
Yes.
You spoke about something that's really profound. You said retrenchment has to be fair. Is there something called unfair retrenchment?
Definitely. Unfair retrenchment refers to the process whereby procedure is not followed at all.
Procedure.
Yes. And this is whereby an employer can just call an employee and explain the company's current economic affairs and say, that's why we have to let you go. There
Okay.
was no
Oh.
meaningful engagement at all.
Okay.
Or in terms of who gets retrenched, because normally the employer has to be fair in deciding which employee he's letting go or which employee he's keeping. Usually it's first in, last out.
First in, last out.
Last out.
Okay.
However, depending on the type of business that you have, an employer may opt with different factors to choose which employee is going to let go.
Okay.
So for example, fixed term contract employees.
Yeah.
There are two factors with a fixed term contract. Either one refers to time. So I can have a duty as an employer that I have to be done with this project within the next 6 months.
All right.
Or it may not be time-based, it may be results-based.
Results-based.
So you find that people in such situations, they cannot be retrenched because that would amount to breach of contract, because an employee would have signed a contract stating that within the specified of time, that's when business between the employer and him or herself has ended.
Yeah.
However, if you have to look at the contract closely, so if a specific occurrence happened, so for example, COVID happened, no one was expecting it, which led to employers retrenching their employees. So you just have to, there are different factors to be looked at when doing the retrenchment process, so that it is not unfair.
Okay, so that it is not unfair. All right. Let's say a person has been retrenched. I think you have discussed in depth about many issues of retrenchment. So can an employee claim their benefits after them being retrenched?
Definitely. Retrenchment means that there are going to be benefits attached to them. So for example, let's talk about voluntary service packages. As I referred to you before, consultations means meaningful engagement. So in the case of a voluntary service package, it's basically a process of negotiation between an employer and an employee, whereby they discuss the benefit that is to be given to the employee upon accepting the voluntary service package. Because in this case, the employee volunteers, hence the word voluntary, to be the first one to go out of the company due to the circumstances that it may be going on. However, if an employee doesn't volunteer, we have what we call a severance package. And this is calculated by the number of years that you have worked for a company, and for each year you get 1 week's wage. So for example, you were earning 10,000 rand per month. 1 week's wage is equal to 2.5, and you've worked at a company for 5 years, so your severance package will be equal to 2.5 times by 5. That will be your package.
It's fine. So let's say someone has been retrenched. What are the relevant forums that they can refer their case of unfair retrenchment to? How best can they get assistance after they have been retrenched unfairly?
The best advice I can give to anyone who has been retrenched is to go to a legal representative. The reason why I'm stating this is because labor lawyers, they're well vested in these type of situations, and they know all the loopholes that they should look out for when it comes to retrenchment procedures. So for example, you can come to SIMPLEX DLS so that we can help you when you've been retrenched. However, we also have forums like the CCMA Bargaining Council that you can go with your matter of unfair retrenchment, so that you can get the relief that you seek if your employer has treated you unfairly.
So viewers, this was Miss Sharon that was discussing with us today about retrenchment. I understand that many people have been retrenched, and in most cases unfairly, during this global pandemic period. Seek for help, seek for legal advice, and you can get in touch with us, SIMPLEX DLS, and surely we can be able to help. Before we wrap up, we just want to thank you, Miss Sharon, for joining us today on our show. And I bet a lot of people have learnt and they have gained so much knowledge. All right, viewers, before we wrap up, that was nice. Before we wrap up, always keep in touch, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get in touch with SIMPLEX DLS on our Facebook page and on our Instagram page, and you will also learn a lot. Until we meet again, this is bye for now.